Harihi Om. Shuklam Vishnum Sasivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashamtaye Agajanana Padmarkam Gajanana Maharnisham Anekadam Tam Bhaktanam Ekadam Tam Upasmahe Gnananandamayam Devam Nirmalaspatikakrutim Adharam Sarva Vidyanam Hayagrivam Upasmahe Krishnam Kamalapatraksham Punyasravana Kirtanam Vasudevam Jagadyonim Nomi Narayanam Harim Vyasaya Vishnurupaya Vyasarupaya Vishnave Namo Vai Brahmanidhaye Vasishtaya Namo Namaha Om Krishnaya Govindaya Gopijana Vallabhaya Sarvarogya Pradaya Sarvasektimayaya Sarvatejomayaya Sri 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 Rukminishaya Krishnaya Te Namaha. Well, we are in Mahabharata listening to the talk by Vidura, who is nobody but the avatar of Yama, the highly balanced, duty-minded, dharmapara deity, Vedic deity among the deities. So Yamaya Namaha is called Vaivasvata. So he is very regular, he is very sincere, and he will never fail in his duty. No postponement. But unfortunately, on some account, when Manduka Maharshi, being irritated with Yama's way, behavior at one time, immediately he stood up and became angry and cursed him to be born in a Sudra's yoni but possess all that wisdom and knowledge and power. And he was also cursed to be the minister to the Dhritarashtra, the forthcoming emperor of the Kuru dynasty, and all that. Therefore, we should note that if Vidura is talking, it is all from the mouth of Yamadharmaraja, who has such a perfect discipline in him that he doesn't care, but he cares his business. When the time clicks, he will come and rob away all people, their life. Therefore, unfortunately, because of this kind of strict discipline, Yama also suffered an unfortunate time, not to the extent of simply getting cursed, but he was burned down. He was killed actually by Lord Shiva with his Tritiya Netra when he threw his pasha, that pasha to draw away the life of Markandeya boy, who was a small boy, but when he embraced, when he was ready, and he was in the embrace of the Sivalingam of at that juncture, Yama said, no, he didn't care. He just threw his Yamapasha, but that Yamapasha not only touched the Markandeya, but also touched the Lord Shiva himself. Then Lord Shiva, the boss, Sarvabhuta Adhipati and Sarvamrutyun Jaya, etc., he became angry and instantaneously Shiva opened his eye, burnt Yama to ashes. And again, at the request of so many gods, he was revived and he got back to life. So that is the fortunate or unfortunate life scale of Yama, and that life scaled one here also in this. And even in Mahabharata, when war began, and and actually Vidura also is a big warrior. He can be a wonderful fighter and warrior and Yuddhavira. But Duryodhana hurt him very much. Therefore, that Vidura refused to obey Duryodhana and then said, after all, you're a small boy, born before my eyes, but still you have so much disregard to your own people, especially to me when I minister to you. Therefore, I will never touch war. I will never go to war. Hell, go to hell. That was also another disadvantage for this for Duryodhana, and his pride works any and everywhere. That's why Duryodhana is happened to be a Manava Rupa Rakshasa. His gunas are just that of the Rakshasa, but only in human form. And he made all his 100 brothers to go to war ground and then fight and die. But he was Sanjaya and Vidura. These are the only two people who never had any kind of participation in the war. Sanjaya remained with Dhritarashtra to give war bulletin minute by minute. He felt he died because it was the intention of Krishna that though this Dhritarashtra as a parent of so many children should be suffering there when he comes to note down the news. Though, so the Doordarshan power is being given to Sanjaya, and Sanjaya was making Dhritarashtra hopeless. So the entire Mahabharata, as you see, is a conglomeration of all kinds of emotions. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. Well, these are all very much rampant in all that. And also, even Dhritarashtra is having high jealous, high personal feelings that he should not, however it is, lose his throne, but he must be stable in his Simhasanam. Therefore, in order to keep himself stable in the Simhasanam, he has been unkind to all his own brothers' children, Pandavas, and he admitted any and every suffering of the Pandavas. Never he had any compassion or revision or anything like that, because he loved his eldest son Duryodhana, and he always countersigned whatever proposals. So the Neethi is one which will try to remove fear in us, instill confidence in us, and also instill happiness in us. Therefore, when Dhritarashtra was completely perplexed and ridden by the fear, he had no alternative but get some kind of solace from the mouth of Vidura, who is the mouthpiece of Yama actually in next birth. And so he called him and he went on talking about it. Actually, as you know, because I have been telling, but every episode seems to be a new independent episode. Though we are in the continuity of the Vidhuraneethi chapters, which are about some 33 to 31 or so, 8 chapters, and there are 500 slokas, which try to brainwash Duryodhana, I mean Dhritarashtra, but of no avail. We should note down that Dhritarashtra is just a librarian. What is the work of librarian? He will just keep on seeing the various catalogs of various subjects and take the help of the heads of the department or professors and order for books and get them, and then classify the books and then test the books and then register them in the register and so on. That's the work of a librarian, but he will never read any book. He doesn't know, but he knows the location of the book, but not the content and etc. of the book. So, like that, this Dhritarashtra is also a librarian, and so he was that. But anyway, now let us come to the actual text. With this preliminary knowledge that it is coming out from the mouth of Yamadharmaraja. And we have got a beautiful prayer to Yama that he has to give us wisdom as long as we breathe our life, and see that we must have a natural exit from our body. Pranas entered, and pancha pranas are there, pancha bhutas are there, and pancha indriyas, pancha indriya shakti is there. Oh God, our body is a composite case which has got involved, imbibed of so many things. Ultimately, what you talk about your body is it's a ocean, samudram. So Sarira is a samudram, and therefore we have to have a separate science. Study. It's called Sarira Mimamsa. So that must be our first object of study, as we see. Shastram Sharira Mimamsa Devastu Parameswara Acharya Shankaracharyo Santume Janma Janmani. So Janma, getting and getting out, is not our option. You are just pushed into the world, but we don't know where you land. Whether you land in Bharat or in America or in England or any place. But anyway, you land upon the earth. The Bhubhagam is all belonging to Varahamurti. That's why, at all, you want to have some kind of earth comfort, then you have to make prayer to Varahaswami, who married Bhudevi and became Bhudevi Sahita Varahaswami. So with this type of introduction, let us go to the section, that is 7th chapter, 30th sloka of Vidhuraneethi, and I'm just reading them. So we have come to note down the who are those people in 28 about whom the king must be very, very careful. And at the same time, he has to be exceedingly merciful. And then only, and he should never be engaged in pecuniary transactions of lending or borrowing with some people. So like that, there is a kind of a moral principle that has been given in the sloka number 28. I just read. Gruni Raja Umschali Rajabhrutyah Putraha Bhrata Vidhava Balaputra Senani Jivo Jivi Cheto Udhruta Bhakta Eva Vyavahare Vaivarjaniyaha Syuhu Ete. So you should not at all be kind or transacting with these fellows. That is one. A king who is gruni, excessively merciful. And gruni Raja. Next, Umschali, a woman of low character. Umschali means any man she looks and she loves them. So to say, she is otherwise called as a loose woman or a concubine or anything like that. So woman of ignoble character is called as Pumschali. And also Rajabhrutyaha, the servant of a king, you should try to another king. The servant of another king, you should not. That's why you see, if children go with another uniform to school, which is not that school's uniform, the guard there, the security guard won't admit, because she doesn't belong to that. The student does not belong to that school. So like that, here also most important is Rajabhrutyas, those who are subservient and devoted to other kings, because these people will carry tales and secrets to the other king, who may be inimical, and you will see that this fellow is being dethroned or defeated in the war. Therefore, never you should trust a Rajabhrutya. Secondly, servant of a king, and Putraha Bhrata. So you should not even trust your son or your child because it is difficult. Even children do lot of horror towards their parents in want of Rajyam. Kamsa is the best example to quote. What did he do? He just imprisoned his father and mother, Ugrasena, and his mother in the jail, and he became a ruler and dictator. And therefore, the problem became really serious. Like that in Mahabharata, in Bhagavatam, in Ramayana, all people are there. You look at it when Vibhishana walked out of the assembly, the Ravanasura was never pained, not an inch in him. That own brother is leaving him. We got so many examples. That's why Valmiki Maharshi gives a beautiful Subhashitam in Ramayanam saying that Yanti Nyaya Pravrittasya Tiryancho Visahayatam Apanthanam tu Gachantam Sodaropi Vimuchyati Anta. You see, if people are going on the Nyaya Patha, even the animals come and help you. It is like Rama. Even the squirrel also helped, as we believe, in building the Setu or bridge over the ocean. What was the squirrel doing? Every now and then it used to dip itself in the water, roll on the sand, seashore, carry some sand, and then try to exhaust it at the place. So for project building, a squirrel also is important. Rama recognized the importance, the service made by the squirrel. He just patted it with his three hands. So people believe those three lines on the found on the back of the squirrel are the finger marks made by Rama out of compassion and acknowledgement or gratefulness to the squirrel. Because squirrel is a most smallest animal, but still its contribution is of great value. That's why in English there is a sonnet, a poem written by some author, I remember. I don't remember the author, but there is a poem on the squirrel and the mountain. Squirrel and the mountain. The mountain laughs at squirrel. Hey, look, I am so huge, I am useful. I give rain, I stop clouds, etc. It went on boasting. Then it just condemned the squirrel, but squirrel also told and saw that the mountain learns a lesson from squirrel's talk. Like that, here also Putra, son, and Bhrata, the brother, Vidhava Balaputra. You should never trust a widow having a small baby, infant son in her hands. And again, Senajivi, there are many Kshatriyas, very powerful, who lend their services to kings on price. In fact, there is a story also, a Punjabi story, where there was one Kshatriya who was fighting in the war. He had a small daughter, but he used to not leave the daughter anywhere, but with the daughter, his small daughter, she used to go and fight in the war and help the king. So that's why they call Sena Jivi, means they live upon lending their warrior services to the kings. So that's something like that, because we always take volunteering and pay. Sometimes we reward them. So they are called as Sena Jivis. I mean, in India, I mean, the people are simply wonderful. That's why Yajnavalkya Maharshi in Satavada Brahmanam says, Chitram vai prajaha, ho no prajaha. Ayo prajasu, the people are so wonderful and so mysteriously, motley, that you cannot know them. No two people are same. The man is style ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಹಂಗೆ ತಾವು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮಾರ್ಷಲ್ ಆರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ವಿತ್ ಡಿಫರೆಂಟ್ ಕಿಂಗ್ಸ್ sincerely and get some prize and all that. Secondly, Uddhuta Bhaktaha. The other person is that who is having suffered great losses. So Uddhruta bhaktaha eva vyavahare. Why? So in the transactions and all that, one fellow going through some losses, and such people who went through losses in lottery or races and all that, they come to borrow money and invest there and with a hope to become better, richer. Even so, ಆದರೆ ಅಂಥವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ನೀವು ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಡಬಾರ್ದು. ಎ ಕುಡುಕನಿಗೆ ಆರ್ ಎ ಜೂದ ಪ್ಲೇಯರ್ಗೆ ಆರ್ ಹಾರ್ಸ್ ರೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಡ್ ಮಾಡೋವನಿಗೆ ಆರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ ದಿ ಪೀಪಲ್ who undergo losses also, great losses. But to such people, if you borrow, if you lend money, you are not happy. So these are all some of the important precautions given to a Maharaja who is noble, not to transact with all these people. That's one question. And secondly, but there are other opposite people in society. They are also very, very sincere. So this sloka number 29 tells us that guna dasha snana sile bhajanti balam rupam swaravarna prasuddhi स्पर्शश्च गंधश्च विशुद्धता च श्रीः सौकुमार्य प्रवराः च नार्यः. So these are all the things people who has snana seelam gunaha. The fellow who snana seelam is having the habit of performing ablutions. So that is snana, snataka also. It means that they get graduation ceremony. So snana silasya seelam bhajante. So anybody who has got that kind of balanced mind, that is what otherwise called as yoga, samatvam yoga uchyate. So anta manushrige enagate gunaha dasha. There are 10 gunas. 1, balam, strength. 2, rupam, the beauty. 3, swaravarna, a clear voice, and capacity to utter all the alphabetical sounds correctly. And then sparshascha, delicacy of touch, and gandha, fineness of scent, and vishuddhata srihi, and cleanliness, gracefulness, delicacy of limbs, and beautiful women. So these are all the important features that he can think of them, that pravaraschanaryaha, that is women, all women are not bad, but there are noble women. But generally women classification is different. But noble women are there. That's why in our daily prayer of our Vedadhyana Kendra, we say Purandhir Yosha, Jishnu Ratheshtha, Sabheyo Yuva, Asya Yajamanasya. Like that we make a prayer. That is Purandhir Yosha. That's what it is. So these are all very important people whom you should think. So up till then I have covered. Now we go to the next 30 and onwards. Gunascha Shanmita bhajante Arogyam Sukham Balam cha Anavilam chasya Bhavedapatyam Nachairnamadhyunayiti Kshipanti Akarmasile cha mahasanam cha lokadvishtam bahumayam rusamsam adeshakalagnamanistavedham vesham yetan gruhe na prativasayati. So these two things, actually from this kind of Vidura Neethi, So many Niti Granthas have come up. And among many sections of the Mahabharata, 4 sections are very noble. Viduraneethi is next. Bhagavad Gita, Vishnu Sahasranamam, Stotram, then Viduraneethi, and finally Sanat Sujatiyam. ಈ 4 ರತ್ನಗಳು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಭಗವದ್ಗೀತಾ ಫಾರ್ ಆಕ್ಷನ್, ವಿಷ್ಣು ಸಹಸ್ರನಾಮ ಫಾರ್ ಪೀಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸೆಟಲ್ಮೆಂಟ್, and in between we have got Viduraneethi, which will definitely help us to make our life really better. And then you have got Sanat Sujatiyam, the Vedanta, that is, which talk about the Paramatma. So like that, this moral science is there. Now you observe in the Akarma Seelam, and these are all the 2 slokas which are very important. Actually, we cannot by heart all the 500 slokas, but we should be aware of the relevant content of the slokas appropriate to our context and circumstances in which we are placed. It is something like a mother's way. See, mother always comes to rescue, always comes to feed you and see that you are better in your own course of choices. So that's why Bhagavad Gita is a mother, Viduraneethi is mother-like, and Vishnu Sahasranama also is mother, and Sanat Sujatiyam is a mother, because Matru Devo Bhava. Matru is she is the nurse. She is a nutrition supplier to whatever relevant for the boy or girl. Therefore, now in this 30th sloka, it is said, these people, you should not allow them to stay with you and all that. Who are those people? Those people, shan gunaha kshipanti, they will not. Number one is ati bhuktam. No, amita bhuktam. See, amita bhukti means always trying to enjoy. They will not do any work. తెలుగులో అంటారండి, ఇక్కడున్న పుల్ల తీసి అక్కడ పెట్టరు. అట్లాంటి వాళ్ళతో ఏం చేస్తాం? పుల్ల అంటే ది మోస్ట్ నెగ్లిజెంట్ థింగ్ దట్ మే కమ్ ఆన్ యువర్ వే. ಇಕ್ಕಡನ್ನ ಪುಲ್ಲ ತೀಸಿ ಆ ಕಡೆ ಪೆಟ್ಟರು. ಇಲ್ಲಿನ ಹುಲ್ಲು ಗಡ್ಡಿ ತಗೊಂಡು ಆ ಕಡೆ ಇಟ್ಟರು. ಅಂದರೆ ಮಾರ್ಗವನ್ನು ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದೇ ನಾವು ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಸ್ಟಡೀಸಲ್ಲಿ ಹೈಸ್ಕೂಲಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಯ್ಯ, ನೀನು ದಾರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗೋವಾಗ ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲ್ಲಿದ್ರು, ಗ್ಲಾಸ್ ಪೀಸ್ ಇದ್ರು, ಮುಳ್ಳು ಇದ್ರು, ಇಂಥ ಕೆಲವಿದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನೀನು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ, ನೀನು ನೋಡಿದ್ಯಾ ಅಂತ ಹೊಟ್ಟೋಗೋಬೇಡ. ಬಟ್ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಥ್ರೋ ಟು ದಿ ಸೈಡ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕೀಪ್ ದ ಹೋಲ್ ಶೋ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಈ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಾರಲ್ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್, ಎಟಿಕ್ವೇಟು ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಈವನ್ ಟುಡೇ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಡಿಸ್ಪೋಸ್ಡ್ ಅಟ್ ದಿ ರೆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್. ಸೊ ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ಮಿತ ಭುಕ್ತಂ ಭಜಂತೆ, ಷಣ್ಮಿತ ಭುಕ್ತಂ ಭಜಂತೆ, ಆರೋಗ್ಯಮಾಯುಶ್ಚ ಸುಖಂ ಬಲಂಚ. Anybody who is eating judiciously the limited amount of food consumption, then we have got arogyam, ayu, sukham, balam cha. So these are all the things that come to those people who actually eat less. Health, long life is progeny, and he becomes healthy, and nobody will describe him as a glutton. ತುಂಬ ತಿಂತಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಆ ಕೀರ್ತಿ ಬರಲ್ಲ. He will be very happy. In 4 minutes or so, as you are seeing that this particular Zoom disappears, please again log in another 10 minutes or so further. I will continue the Viduraneethi and will conclude. So only weekly 1 class we are doing, but somehow he is trying to make it more than an hour. Our Karanam person, he will just try, but until he becomes successful, better we just keep this kind of installment process. So in about 3 minutes or so, it goes on. Please be aware. But now, in this 30th sloka, it is said gunaha. These are all the things which are gunas. Actually, there is also a subhashita, hitam mitam cha bhunjita. Hitam mitam cha bhunjita. Always eat that which is good for you, healthy for you, and mitam, and also limited. Supposing you go to Krishna Bhavan and order 4 masala dosas at a time. I used to have one colleague when we go to his house, the Krishna Bhavan hotel, he would invariably order more than 2 dosas at a time, while to his friends he will order only 1 dosa. And because he used to say, oh, I cannot wait after completing 1 dosa, so I want to have a series of dosas done. And that is to, I don't know, I can't comment on that, but that was that. Amitam. So yeah, ಆದರೆ 3-4 ಮಸಾಲೆ ದೋಸೆಗಳ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟು ಗೊತ್ತಾಗತ್ತಲ್ವಾ. So one dosa with masala dosa will be good enough. And it also depends upon the size. And ಅದೇ ಅದೇ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ if you go to the Vidyarthi Bhavan in Basanagudi, there also you can apply this kind of ಅಂದರೆ ಮಿತ ಭಕ್ತಿ. ಅಂದರೆ ತುಂಬ ಟೇಸ್ಟಿಯಾಗಿರುವ ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯವನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಅದು ಆರೋಗ್ಯ, ಆಯುಸ್ಸು, ಸುಖಮು, ಬಲಮು. And anavilamcha, it will not have any kind of side effects on us, and we'll be happier. Ade, the opposite of that will be there. You should not admit such fellows in your house. Give them shelter. Who are those fellows who cannot give astraya for them? Number 1, akarmasilam cha. Those people who always do things improperly. ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ, ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ನಿಮಗೆ ಇರಿಟೇಷನ್ ಬರೋ ರೀತಿಯೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. And again, second one is the mahasanam. Those people who are fond of more and more food. In fact, in India at least, we have got some kind of etiquette. ಆದರೆ in other countries, sometimes many people, visitors, ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಒಳಗಡೆ ಬಾಗಿಲು ತೆಗೆದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಟ್ ಫ್ರಿಡ್ಜ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸೀನ್ ಸಮ್ ಪೀಪಲ್. ಆ ಫ್ರಿಡ್ಜಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಕೇಳದೆ ಹೇಳದೆ ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದು ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಬ್ಯಾಡ್. ದೇ ಶುಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್, ದೇ ಶುಡ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಸೀಕ್ ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್. ದೇ ಶುಡ್ ವೆಯ್ಟ್ ಅಂಟಿಲ್ ದಿ ಯಜಮಾನ ಆಫರ್ ಯು ದಿ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ, ಆ ಎಟಿಕ್ವೇಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಆಸನ ಮೇಲೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಎ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್. ಮಹಾಸನಂ. ದೆನ್ ಲೋಕದ್ವಿಷ್ಟಂ ಬಹುಮಾಯಂ ಋಷಂಸಂ. So another verse is loka means people. See, many people, if they start hating him and criticizing him, such fellow should not give shelter and then admit you in your house. So one who is hated by all. And also another kind of fellow is bahumayam nrusamsam. And another fellow who is cruel, who is deceitful, and also adesha kalagnam, who does not know the proprieteness and properness. See, properness ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಟೈಮು ಪ್ಲೇಸ್, ಯಾವಾಗ